Hello, one and all, and welcome back to One Hub Racing. This is the season opener for Season 18, and it is coming to you from Montreal for the first round of One Hub Racing Pinnacle tier for this season. So, of course, we are kicking things off at Montreal, and with a very exciting group of drivers, a very exciting season, I think, in store for us to tackle, and I can't wait to get things started. To take you through the action here tonight and hopefully throughout the entire season is myself, Daniel Hogard, otherwise known as Zaka, and I'm joined yet again, as in pre-season, another very well-established commentator within the Pinnacle tier now. It is Matt, or Indecisive Mackie. Matt, how you doing, mate?
Well, thanks for the kind words. I'll take that, and I'm very good though. It's good to be here and looking forward to this one. It's an awesome track for me to commentate on, but good to be here. How are you, sir?
I am very well, and yes, certainly bubbling with excitement ahead of this round. Of course, Montreal, well, that's a track that tends to produce some great action every time we really see it on track. So yeah, I'm very certain that we're going to get another great one in store for us here tonight. But of course, we still have a few minutes to wait before we get into it. But I'm sure it'll be worth the wait for when we do indeed get things started here in Montreal. It is a rather short track. The lap times around here, you're typically going to see in and around the 1:07s, 1:08s for these guys, of course, being some of the top drivers on the platform. You're going to see, well, phenomenally fast action out there on the circuit here at Canada. A track that can and has shown rain at the past, so maybe you could get that element of unpredictability in as well. But Matt, what can you expect from the track here tonight? Because as we know, it is a bit of a street circuit here in Montreal. So what do you think you could see? Because the walls here always imminent. It's very easy to chip off your wing if you're not careful.
Oh yeah, you have to be maximum commitment and maximum concentration at all times, especially when it comes to the Wall of Champions, because you can very easily squeeze a little bit more throttle than you need and you round into it, or you can just not have enough turn and you just smash your front wheel off. So it's definitely tricky down there, but there are also other little corners further on before the lap as well, where you can easily just lock your brakes and go wide, as you saw Vettel do in real life in 2009. So it's very, very high alert, I'd call this one.
Yes, certainly. I believe it's got a huge amount of chicanes as well, very high-speed chicanes around this circuit. I believe that there's 5 chicanes around this track, so that's certainly a defining characteristic, and it's going to be fascinating to see how things unfold around here, because obviously looking as to what the drivers have had to say about this circuit, when I was looking at the pre-race interviews, I saw quite a few mixed responses. I know you've had quite an in-depth look, so what drivers caught your eyes to being particularly positive or particularly negative about the circuit?
Well, there's, as you say, there is quite a lot, and it's always good to see drivers doing that. Of course, if they answer every question, just a quick plug for our sponsors right off the bat. We're Next Level Racing. No, wait, that's not the right one, but that is one of the sponsors. But that was the last season script. I'm sorry. Anyway, talking of which, the ERT Going Get Stuff award is for the winner of the driver that does all the pre-race, post-race, any interviews you called for, which have now expanded this season, and I'm in charge of that, so you're welcome. But anyway, back to your point. I'm really interested in the reigning champion, Lakitu. He's excited to be back, hopes to be better than last time, and there's lots of walls, lots of corners with track limit infringement, which is a running theme through most of these drivers, to be honest. They're all a little bit concerned about track limits, but they're also aware that they could gain because of them. And although Lakitu does wonder that being a champion, does that mean he's going to crash into the Wall of Champions? We'll find out in due course, of course.
That name's certainly a very bad omen. We are looking to get loaded in to the lobby very, very soon. Of course, you did mention Lakitu and his thoughts. He's been selected by the league as a hot driver ahead of this race, as you'd expect. He is the reigning champion going into it. ERT Samba is the co-driver going in, and he is a driver that's fascinating as well. I believe he set the fastest time of anyone in the qualifying nights, and it's a driver, and he's a driver that's always had the raw speed, but was going to be interesting to see if he can pull it together. Now, though, we look to get loaded in to the lobby, qualifying ahead of us. Now, I did mention that rain can definitely come around here. We'll see, of course, if that is indeed going to come to fruition. I don't think these drivers will be too enthusiastic to open up their campaign with a rainy session, but it's going to be fascinating. Very challenging circuit, very short, so you should see quite a lot of runs going in here. Everyone, of course, will be pressing to their absolute limit, their known limits out there on the track. And so we're going to have another look at that. Just another, as you mentioned, a quick nod to our sponsors. Next Level Racing, they are going to be giving away a GT Light cockpit as a prize to a winner of our giveaways. Liam RBS, who sponsors our trophies for this season. Just a plug to his Twitch at Liam RBS. Please check him out. FreeM Sim Racing is going to be providing a pair of their sim racing gloves for the drivers with the most poles and the most fastest laps. Our partners, Vespertine, we are partnered with, who are going to be supporting our championship prizes. ERT, who, as you mentioned, are going to be partnering for the ERT Going Gets Tough award, where, as you mentioned, drivers that complete all their interviews, attend every race, will be eligible for that. And we are in collaboration with Time to Print, who will be giving you 20% off this week's track at their store using the code OneHubRacing. But now we look towards qualifying, man, and as you can see, bright and sunny weather, nothing to worry about for the drivers but the track in front of them, and it's going to be fascinating to see them all take it on then. This track's so difficult, they're going to be pressing everything here, but you can't push it too hard, otherwise you could be bitten. But now they're heading out on track then. I think it's going to be TRT Tomar first out there in the Rhino. Now new season's going to get underway, but these drivers need to sort out their nerves first before they can really tackle this circuit then. Nerves are going to be an all-time high. Let's see who puts up with it the best in this 18-minute session.
Well, yes, of course, it's always going to be nerve-wracking to get back out there, and of course it could be worse, because I know Precision did have a slightly wet qualifying, but he dried up towards the end, and we don't know what the race is going to do, of course, at this point, hoping it's going to be similar to this. But yeah, there's a lot going on today and a lot to watch for, so I'm excited as anyone, and I can't wait for this to start getting some times on the board.
Yeah, certainly, and that's what we're going to be seeing first off the bat here, as I mentioned, with Tomar being the first driver out there. We'll see how he navigates this circuit in the Renault. He's already been active in the Twitch chat. Up the Renault, he says. Let's see if he himself and Samba are going to be able to produce the goods here. So then we're going to watch Tomar then heading it towards the final chicane and the iconic wall of champions on the right hand side. And now Tomar gets the season kicked off, then qualified first up then for the Renault, getting himself onto the brakes, heading in to turn 1 and turn 2 through the island hairpin and up in the third gear. Traction so difficult then. He got to get purchased with the rear tires up and away now, heading into turns 3 and 4 then at the second chicane. Got to maximise the width of the track then, push the track limits there. Crucial round here. Kick at turn 5 is easy flat onto the brakes again, into the first sector and at turn 6. Another tough traction zone then through turn 7. Keeps on winding and on winding as you press the throttle, looping up the DRS for the second time on this flying lap then. Looking towards the bridge then as you headed into turns 8 and 9 then, feathering the throttle to the exit right up against the wall is Tomar, but just about able to hold the car together onto the brakes and to turn 10 at the hairpin there. You can see the grandstands then cheering these drivers on as they head out now down the straight then. The kinks of turn 11 and 12, DRS over for the third time on the flying lap, and now up towards the infamous final chicane here. Again, you got to commit to it. You can't afford to lose time, but you can't afford to chip over wing or invalidate, as Tomar has done. He slams against the wall as well, and that lap he is denied of. So Tomar is going to have to go again. 109.1 was the time, of course, won't count for much at this stage, and so we look for more else to come through. XL Larkin's coming through now, but he's also invalidated. He's another driver in the interviews that mentioned that he doesn't very much like this track then, and so he may not be the most confident going into this, but we'll see what he can do as Netsky gets first on the boat then. A 107.4, of course, Netsky and his teammate Toxin then crossing, not representative, but Netsky is a very interesting driver ahead of this season, of course. We know he's got the raw pace, but can he put it together for good then? He, of course, fought for that championship with Lakita. We'll have a little look at things later on further down the road, but that's like one thing to note. Lenetsky starting well. 107.4 is a great lap time to open things up with.
It is. I was just on board with ERT Josh there, who's done a 108.2, and that's also a decent opener as well for him. And he's excited to be back. He's testing himself against the best, but the last chicane is a big problem for him, and I think we saw a prime example of that from the Renault's lap earlier on, Tom's lap, where he just got it slightly wrong. He validated and hit the wall, so that's a doofer. But yeah, he's definitely excited to be back. And Khalifa in the other Red Bull. Khalifa last season loved to try the undercut, but whether he'll try that this season remains to be seen. But his midfield expectations, though, he will be pushing for better results, taking advantage of the front runners' mistakes, which could be plenty around this track. Keeping it clean will be important. Yep, it definitely will be. I can testify to that from earlier. And the team goal is to beat McLaren come the end of the season, although he would love to beat Arnold, Kyle and Jamie in the drivers. So watch out for Khalifa this season. He's not going to be at the very front, but he will be pushing for good results with any mistakes. And he's done a 108.5, which is just behind his teammate there, so that's a good opener for him.
Yeah, right out behind ERT Josh, who we saw was so impressive last week in the pre-season race. He is at the moment rising to the top, near the top in the qualifying standings. And of course, it is still very much up in the air. We've not even seen half, I'm sure, of what these guys have to offer out there. Who is actually on a flying lap for the moment? Then Fatality has come out of the final corner, and the Haas then coming up to the line. He goes second on a 1.153. Good lap then from the Haas man. He puts himself up into the mix then. He is second from Josh, Khalifa, Jules, Kyle, J. Luke. J. Luke, of course, at P7 at the moment then. He was selected for the drivers' press conference. And he also, like we mentioned with Larkin, he's another driver that's not very confident going into this track. That he says it's not a great track for him, but he's looking to just try and keep it clean and take advantage of what the opportunities are going to present, which I guess is fair enough, because really, if you're not confident in your pace, you just need to keep it clean. And a track around Canada where you can hit the wall so easily and you pick up penalties just as easily as that, it could not be a bad strategy. I think that was Samba putting himself in a second in on a 108 flat. Still Netsky comfortably P1. But going back to what I was saying earlier, of course, taking advantage of opportunities can be good around here. Because of the opportunities and how easy it is to make a mistake, keeping it clean around here is certainly not a bad way to go about it.
Oh, definitely not. I mean, you've seen a handful of drivers already in this session invalidate somewhere around the lap. We didn't see them all, but we see the big red thing and the taser lights up when that happens, so it's always good to see that we know exactly who's invalidated if we're not on board with them. But yeah, Jarek's been busy with the media, of course. His pre-race before he was chosen for the drivers was penalties, track limits, his teammates' potential. He's wary of that, but he's definitely weaker as Canada, and I don't really know whether to trust anyone that says they're weaker Canada. I don't know. But anyway, Tom's in the wall again, unfortunately for him. But yeah, it's not going well for Renault at the moment. Well, for one of them anyway. Samba, as we touched upon earlier, always quick, but didn't have a chance to do it in the buddies. Started well, so let's see if he can keep that momentum up as he goes into the race later on.
It is still Netsky though on that comfortable provisional pole, but we are not even halfway through the session, so we can expect, I'm sure, a lot more to come from all of the drivers out there. We've got several on laps at the moment. I've just clocked Vienna and the Alfa Romeo through the first sector now is a 19 flat. Fastest first sector at the moment is Netsky on an 18.8 then. Yeah, you're seeing a lot of drivers around the low 19s, high 18s in terms of that first sector, but of course a lot of the meat and gravy of this lap is in the middle and last sectors then, as you see Vienna navigate now, then coming across then. Middle sector time is pretty decent, as I said, 21.4, right up against the wall on the exit of the hairpin, but just about able to keep it together. I think Larkin further up the road is coming up to the line now in the McLaren. He crosses the line, but I think he's validated that lap time in the end. Would have been a 108 then. Vienna now round the final corner, right up against the wall again then, as you press everything to the limit then. The Alpha is to the line, goes fifth on a 108.3. We're seeing a lot of drivers in that low to mid 108 range seems to be the most common times as it stands out there at the moment. We're still looking for more though. The Ferraris are out there on laps at the moment, both Lakito, the defending champion, and Rafa, and those Ferraris are drivers that seem particularly confident in their in the pre-race interviews. They both mentioned that being very confident about fighting up near the front. So obviously, you know, you can think that in your head, but you need to try and back it up. Rafa and Lakito, I'm 100% confident they will do. But they made big statements. There's Rafa going around, heading out turn 9, and the Ferrari backwards in on the lap then. He's not started well. He had validated the lap that would have put him at P2. So he's going to have to look for more. But those Ferraris, very confident in front of it then. They know how good they are. But the question is, can he put it together? It's one thing about past. It's another thing about the present. So those guys, they've talked about game in the pre-race interviews. The question is, can they back it off? I guess we're going to see Lakito, defending champion, looking to get on the board then, heading in to the final chicane then. How does he navigate it? Over the curve, first part, second part then, against the wall, but just about clean. Now to the line is Lakito, and now we cross the line, goes second on a 107.8, but he's still some way behind Netsky, who's absolutely flying. The Mercedes driver, he set a lap time very early on, and 10 minutes into the session, that's still not been touched. Netsky is flying qualifying. Can anyone top that 107.4 on pole?
Well, I mean, there's a couple of drivers out there that could well do it. Samba and Lakito are two of them, and I think you're going to have a couple of people that haven't quite set a lap time early in the session. They could well do it as well. I know Cliffy can be quick as well. As we saw last week, he was up there at the front in the pre-season, but unfortunately didn't go so well after that. But he managed to fight back and recover, so that was a great drive from him, so he should be confident going into the race today. But yeah, we'll see if anyone can touch the 107 or beat it. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what happens at the end of this session.
Yeah, 7.5 minutes to go in the session. ART Samba's on a good lap then. He was purple in the first sector in the Rhino and really nailed onto the chicane again, sliding. But this time, the rear end is still in check then over the second sector line. Then he's a quarter of a second up, but he is down on Netsky's middle sector, not by much, so he's still got a fighting chance then. Powering off of turn 10 then. On to the back straight is the Rhino man. What does he have up his sleeve? Netsky's on a lap behind though, and he's going even quicker in the first sector. So now, Samba, final chicane. What does he have to offer then? Maximum attack into the apex, into the exit. Keeps it nice and clean now. The shoot jump Lakito. Is it going to be challenging Netsky's pole? It is close, but it's not quite near enough. So Samba settling for second at the moment. Still a good lap from the Rhino. And he's, as you mentioned, having much better fortunes than his teammate then. Tomar has gone out on the medium tires, but again it validated. So the lap time's just not quite coming through though. As further back then, Netsky's actually died to the pit lane, aborting that flying lap. I think his teammate Toxic MML is further along then, but he was unable to get a representative lap time in. So 6 minutes to go in the session then. Still early days, relatively speaking. A lot more to be seen, but Netsky on pole. Samba's going a bit closer though. The drivers are all queuing up. The question is who's going to get pole, and pole around here can be very, very important because you know, despite that DRS straight, because it's such a narrow street circuit, overtaking isn't actually the easiest around this track.
No, it certainly isn't. I got stuck behind a car for longer than I needed to be, but sometimes you just have to exercise caution, especially in the first round of what could be an important season for some of these drivers. So you have to feel your opponents out at some point, but it's not the easiest to get past, but you just have to be in exactly the right position at the right time for the DRS to be super effective. But of course, catching up is one thing, but overtaking is quite another, as we used to hear. So yeah, it's definitely. Let's see what Cliffy's just gone purple through sector 1, so that could be one to watch for. Can he get anywhere near Netsky's time?
Yeah, Cliffy on a good one at the moment at 18.7. It's very quick through the first sector. Now, we did mention the difficulty of overtaking. It is possible to overtake around here. In the Stewards briefing, we mentioned some of the action zones there. Turns 1 and 2, especially at the start, can be a bit messy down then. At turn 8, you mentioned under the bridge. That's another big action zone then. It's also pointed out turn 10, the hairpin, and the final chicane. Those can certainly be seeing overtakes, especially into that final chicane, where it's very difficult to go side by side, given the proximity, given the narrowness, given the walls, and given the massive DRS straight that allows for those opportunities as Cliffy invalidating at that final corner. So the Williams driver's lap comes a cropper. It would have been a storming 107.2, but ultimately not going to be enough. And Cliffy, we saw him, of course, so quick last time out in the pre-season race at Breton Short. We saw a mistake that cost him dearly. He managed to fight back to a good result in the end, but there's still more to come. And Cliffy, that's the potential he has then. That's what he has to offer, but he needs to put the lap times together. He can't afford mistakes. Cliffy's showing his pace, but he needs to put it together. And with just 4 minutes to go, the pressure mounting as we get towards the final stages of quali.
Yep, the pressure is definitely mounting, and which one of these drivers up there can deal with the pressure? Can Cliffy... well, I was going to say, can he put that out of his mind? But he's got enough time to get round and out again. And yeah, talking of Cliffy, he's definitely excited for this season, being in a new team, and he's excited to show what he can do and see if he's still got the raw speed that he once had. Well, if that's any indication, yes, he does. He just got to keep it valid. And he loves Canada, so can't wait to hit the track, so that's good to see. I hope you don't hit it literally, because that could be an issue. But he doesn't have any areas of concern about this week, so Cliffy for the win then, clearly.
Well, that's a bold statement. Let's see how it comes through. But I think he definitely has the pace to pull that off, though. But Netsky, I imagine, still got some room to improve in qualifying here. We saw that storming lap he did at the start of the session. Hasn't beaten it since, but you see that the potential is certainly there at this stage then. We saw a lap from Vienna earlier on, and he went 7th on a 108.1. His teammate Glock is out there at the moment without a lap time on the board. Valid for the moment. Decent sector times as well in the Alpha then. Through the final corner is clean and nice through the entry and the exit. So Glock now to the line he goes. It is P3 and the 4th driver into the 107 then. 107.791 is the time for Glock. 4495. So good lap from the Alpha right into the mix. But I suspect we're seeing a lot of improvements further down the line then. So this is real. This is going to be really when these questions are answered then. Who's going to put themselves up near the front of the grid? Qualifying so important rounds here. Let's see how they hammer it down. Netsky on pole position. The question is, can anyone stop at 2.5 minutes to go? Who's going to grab pole then? Let's find it out. The biggest lap times on the line here. Matt, how do you reckon this is going to unfold?
Well, I'm not entirely certain, but I'm pretty sure that Netsky's going to have to go better than that to keep pole position. That's the only thing I'm willing to bet a stake on at this point in time. But the weight is going to be very different, of course, but qualifying, you never really know until it's over, because mistakes can happen, and someone could just get some slipstream from a teammate or whatever, and that just could open up a whole world of options for them as well.
Yeah, certainly. We just saw VR Jules go into P7 on a 108.8. This is certainly as ERT Kyle has got himself a penalty for illegal blocking. That's very unusual. You can see actually behind him, I believe it's his teammate actually. That's going to be Jay Luke, and behind him on an outlap. So I'm not sure if that's going to be the reason, but if so, that's a very harsh penalty to be given on a driver behind you that's not even on a flyer. So I'm not exactly sure what's happening there with ERT Kyle, but it has not worked in his favour. Glock does retire from the session in the pit lane. He is satisfied. He is content with that 107.781. That is the time that he's got on the board. That is the time that he will remain with. Now, who has got some lap times up their sleeves? I believe that Arnaud is on the lap time at the moment then. And the Williams, but he is slightly down in the middle sector. Up to the line now. He does improve, and he does go P10 on the 108.2. That may well be the last we'll see of him though in this session, unless he can get another lap time in. He is still pressing though, so we'll see what he can muster up then. Lakito 3/10 up middle sector on a storming lap at the moment, very close to Netsky's lap on pace as it stands. But what could he pull out in this final sector? Of course, the defending champion will be eager to make a mark in this early stage now as he looks towards that final corner. So now eyeing up the chicane, first part, second part, valid right up against the wall. To the line is Lakito. Second row at the moment. Does he get him up the front? He's just shy of Netsky's pole time. Great lap from Lakito. Purple final sector, but not quite good enough. He has to settle for second at the moment then. Arnaud still on a flying lap out then. Again, slightly down in the middle sector though. So we'll see what he can muster up then to come the line then. And the Williams then looking for as we get towards the final stages. The last lap times gonna be coming in now. So here we go. This is the moment of truth here at qualifying. To the line is Arnaud. He remains at P10 then. Behind him, Jay Luke now to the line. Unable to quite find the improvement. Next up, the Mercedes, then Nesky crosses the line. He goes even faster up at the top. His teammate Toxic, P5 then, and he rounds up his session. Behind is going to be the McLaren Conzo. He crosses the line, goes to 11. 108-1 then, and a good position to start with 11th with the strategic advantages. Samba crosses, unable to quite find the time to find the improvement in, and then Rafa is invalid critically on his return. He crosses the line. He would have been right in the mix at a P5, but ultimately his session ends in disaster for such an established driver. That is a shock. Khalifa going out then on the medium tires. He has no interest in the top 10 seemingly. He is invalid as well. He crossed the line. 108.5 then. Larkin, P6, will remain at P6 then, as I think the session just about draws to a close. It is Netsky who holds pole position. His banker lap against your prediction, Matt, would have been good enough. That's dominant. Quarter of a second clear. Netsky's made a big statement in, and with that pace, he's going to be very tough to stop in the race.
Well, yeah, I mean, we saw similar traits last season between Netsky, Lakito, and it was always Netsky doing quite well in qualifying, but didn't quite have the race pace to keep up with the Lakito, and I think that's what won him the title in the end. But yeah, good start for him, and let's just see if he's worked on his race pace to see if he can get on top step more often than not. But anyway, there's your grid.
Yeah, it is Nesky from Lakito, Sandberg, Look, second row, Toxic and Larkin, third row. Behind that is Josh, Jules, Fatality and Vieira. Starting inside the top 10, assuming a dry race will be on the soft compounded tire. As the clouds have beginning to come over, so we'll see. Arnaud, Konzo, Kyle, Khalifa, J-Luke, Rafa, Chris, Cliffy and Somar round out the grid. 3 drivers without a lap time. You have to say 4 drivers without a representative lap time. And Rafa, you have to say, is one of those big ones then. Making his return then. Solid performance in the preseason race. Mentioned that he believes he can be up the front, but he's got a lot of work to do come the race then. 16th, not the place he wants to start then. A very, very strong race up in front then. Clear skies for the race. Let's see how this one unfolds.
Yeah, I mean, it's not impossible. You can do anything from 16th on grid. We saw it in the lower tiers earlier. You can come through the field because there's always a possibility of a safety car around here, such as the nature of the circuit. So if you're on the hard tyres, everyone else will come in. You can jump some positions and then you have all kinds of fun. So it's definitely not the end of the world just for qualifying 16th, as we have first early ready up of this tier. They just don't learn. I don't believe, so that's not great.
Yeah, of course. This has been mentioned in the briefing as well. You cannot ready up before the league admin, in this case Khalifa, who now does ready up. So yeah, that is the first, and dare I say it, not the last, unfortunately, of the season then with Fatality. But we'll put that aside then, heading into the race, and it's going to be interesting now to look at some of the tire choices as we look out onto the formation lap. Then can see then very unanimous, if you have to say, Matt, looking at those tire choices. The one exception, Cleffy on the softs, and a track where tire degradation is pretty high. I'm not surprised to see that then, but a lot of medium tires, but Cleffy that stand out on the softs. He needs a good start to be able to salvage that race. 17th, he needs to move up then from that position then on the soft tyres. That's a very intriguing strategy. The question is, could it pay off?
It is a very intriguing strategy, and it could well pay off. It's just, as you say, it's very important for him to get an amazing start, but there are action zones in which he could do that, as we've got early disqualifications for slight touch presumably, but you've got turn 1 and 2, which I hope people use a lot more caution on the opening lap, such as the close nature of this could easily get to some squeezing and running out of track, so hopefully they can try to give as much space to cars around them as possible. Turn 8 is after the DRS zone. You could overtake there. Having a good exit out of 7 is crucial. A low speed hairpin at turn 10. You can see overtaking attempts there. Getting a good exit out is of the previous chicane can set up a chance on the brakes. And the final chicane is often the chance to try and get in the toe and use possibly the DRS to get ahead into turn 1.
Yeah, those DRS zones do certainly play a part in the way the racing unfolds. Expect a lot of racing between those DRS zones into the final chicane and turns 1 and 2. But now we look towards the race. of course. Then let's see how things unfold. Remember, it is a mandatory 2-stop here in One Hub Racing, and so you usually see 1-stops around this circuit, but even so, people going for the mediums. That's going to be interesting to see then, as Netsky now coming up towards the grid, tracked by Lakita, and now we look towards the race. And Jules, Konzo, Khalifa, they be disqualified from the formation lap. They'll be on a compromised tyre type. Sure, they got to watch out, particularly Konzo and Khalifa on the medium compounded tyres. They are certainly going to be at risk and vulnerable. But now the rear of the grid settles. Now we look towards a new season of One Hub Racing about to get underway here in Montreal as they now sit on the grid. I think we're getting a little bit of a prolonged pause here before we do indeed get underway. As now the lights do come on then for the new season. We are 5 lights. And we are away for the first time in Canada from the front of the grid. Netsky gets away from the front. Let's see how he's challenging again. And a turn 1 he'll hold off from Lakitu. And then in the Ferrari then. You can see that as they run through that. Out wide was Toxic. Through turn 2, the Mercedes slipping through the field then. 3 wide in the midfield then. As they all make the way towards the middle sector. But it is Netsky up and away at the front of the field. He's followed by Lakitu. Samba P3 at the moment then. Tucked in underneath then. As now they head into the middle part of the lap. And it is Netsky. That leads the way. It looked pretty clean back then. Looked like there's not much contact. You can see them all battling away then. Jules and Josh going in. I think our nose lost a few places then. Heading off the chicane. He's tracked by VN around the outside. A good start. Appearing to be overruled here. But the Williams man is out wide as VN in the Alpha. The Williams draws back alongside. Looking again in front. It is up the road. Toxic and Josh going in then. The pre-season race winner has to yield in the end. But Toxic wide through the hairpin, making the Red Bull driver a chance to get underneath. They're fighting up the front as well, as Lakitu tries to line up Netsky on the overtake mode. Will hang back though for the moment. They run up towards the chicane on the first lap. They all get through it relatively cleanly. That looked like a decent start for most of the drivers. They all felt it through. Netsky holds the lead. Got a lot of pressure from Lakitu. Samba very closely contested. Wow, what an electric start. Netsky leads the way, but he's got heavy pressure on him already then. The top 4, you can throw a blanket over them. This is going to be tight up the front then, and Lakitu already pressuring his former rival Netsky.
Yeah, it's all about pressure, but can he sustain this for a larger period of time? And there was a little bit of contact in the midfield on the opening laps, but there was only a little bit of damage done to Toxic and Fatality, but that's minor damage, so they should probably be able to continue with that. But it's getting a little bit spicy out there already, and this is fantastic to see. There's a bit of a train forming as well, so when DRS is activated the next time around, that could be Samba going past Lakitu into the hairpin possibly, or is he going to wait for the DRS next time around? Possibly he's going to do that, but that is definitely an overtaking opportunity.
Yeah, certainly. He had a good enough run into there, and you can spring a surprise to the driver in front. And further back, 2 AlphaTauris are battling there at the hairpin level on the exit there. But it is indeed going to be ERT Kyle that gets in front, trying to recover from that, I imagine, rather unfairly picked up grid penalty there. But he does get in front then. First penalty of the race already for ERT Josh. And a lot of drivers already I'm seeing with warnings on the task system. Look at this, so down the main street, running side by side all the way through. Raph on the recovery drive. He gets in front of Chris then. Khalifa trying to fight with Konzo back there, and still Khalifa trying to attack Jay Luke. He didn't get off the line too well then, but the Red Bull has to yield it. Gaps looking to be opening up then, but as you mentioned, Toxic looks to be doing pretty well with the damage then. Fatality though, struggling comparatively just that little bit more. You can see the gaps beginning to open up there, but up in front looks like the DRS trying to hold it together pretty much, but Fatality struggling then to hold on to that DRS, but it could start holding back the medium runners once the softs start to go off then. Lights for no will want to be getting through then, otherwise Fatality with damage is going to be holding all these guys back.
Yeah, he's definitely going to be doing that, and who was it at the start that started? Cliffy's not making the amount of inroads you might expect on the soft tyres. He just can't get the speed, I guess. He is trying, and Chrissy is there. Chris and Cliffy are side by side coming into the final chicane at the Wall of Champions, and Cliffy comes out ahead side by side just through there, and I think that's going to be he's gone off the track to avoid contact and got a penalty. I think, sometimes that happens.
Yeah, it certainly does. See that battling? It's certainly electric down the back of the field, but up the front of the field, Lakita has taken over the race lead from Netsky. That DRS it was heading into the final chicane, but we're already seeing penalties being picked up from drivers further up the field. And Toxic and Josh already have ones to their name then, and Lakita he has cleaned the 3 drivers behind on 2 warnings at ever risk of picking up a penalty. Netsky Wade, I think, was lucky to get away with that one, but that's putting him under more pressure from the Renault VRT Samba. Tracking him and chasing him in behind, and as he headed into the airpit for the 4th time in the race, the Netsky double front lock-up is putting him under a bit more pressure then from the chasing Renault. The Mercedes now is going to have to be looking over his shoulder, but it looks like he will be able to keep in front with DRS helping him out and keeping him at the head of the tray. But Lakita moving away, inching clear up front of the Ferrari. His race pace looks so impressive as Netsky penalty up against the wall and damage. Netsky damaged a major 57% of the front wing now. Up against the wall, Rafa now with a penalty. Further down, the picked up rapidly here. With damage. Saba's got it through quickly here. And this is a chance for Lakita to pull away now, already bringing DRS. Then the Ferrari flying away. The champion, the former champion from last season, off to a stellar start. His season has gone on perfectly. Saba looking to get through a win in a turn 6. Looks to the inside, can't follow through. He's going to try and wait his opportunity. Now coming off turn 7, looking towards the pressure. Is Netsky going to defend? Yes, he is. He'll be able to stay in front for the time being, and all the while the Boo up towards the hairpin at turn 10. Is it going to be an opportunistic lunge? He's looking for it. He breaks later, but not late enough. Netsky again looking it up alongside him goes Sabaden through the exit, tries to get level. Glocking by is going to have a search for a way through. Larkin, Jules, Toxic, Josh, they're all with this. Now Saba to the inside. He'll cruise past Netsky, who I imagine will use the first of his 2 mandatory pit stops. He does indeed come in. So Netsky now, a pole position, suffering greatly, drops out the order. Disaster for Netsky, and elation for Lakita. 1.6 seconds clear at this stage of the race. That's commanding. Lakita storming to the early lead. This season could not have started better for the reigning champion.
It certainly couldn't, but in the midst of all that, I was watching at the back, and Khalifa with a sensational double overtake towards the hairpin on the... I can't remember who it was, but yeah, he had a double overtake, and it was quite a move. You had one car defending on the inside, and then I looked back, and then there was Khalifa just with 2 overtakes, so way to go, son. Carry on, lad.
Yeah, on a bit of a charge at the moment. In 14th position, he's going to, I imagine, look for a little bit more than that, but he certainly didn't seem interested in getting in the top 10. A mistake from Vienna, though, is going to hand the place to Rafa. Chris gets through as well now. Conso looking to the outside, heading into the hairpin. It's going to try and break a bit later, and he clears their Alfa Romeo before they turn the wheel, before they even hit the brakes. The McLaren is through there, and Vienna struggling. The tires beginning to get away from him now, as now ERT Kyle then track him to the outside now, looking his way down the main straight. He will easily get through that with DRS storming through that, as ERT Tom looking at the back, and now we're seeing some early pit stops. Larkin and Toxic coming in. The stops are already pretty worn, around 40% on the rears for most of these drivers, but now 3 drivers coming in then. Larkin, Toxic, Vienna. Toxic getting a wing fix, of course. We saw him with that damage earlier on, so he's going to maybe lose out short term, but gain long term. He emerges right next to Vienna, who just gets out in front. That is Chris actually gets through on Rafa, so there's the racing point moving up through the order. They're all jostling away, but early pit stops here, and the question is now, Matt, will these soft runners respond? Will they stay out and risk? As Chris into the wall, then snapping in a turn 7, and he made an overtake, and now it went against it. Back goes the racing point then through the order. Paper Chris, a night for the major front wing damage, and so many drivers getting damaged then, so easy to hit walls. They're already making errors. It's been a chaotic race so far. Tom R dives to the inside of the hairpin on ERT Kyle, getting out of the hairpin. He's got his nose in front, and he almost touched in a turn 11. The Moreno gets through then in front of ERT Kyle up the front. Looks like they're for the most part going to stay out then. Jules comes in then, and now I'm going to try and hand over to you, Matt, because the action's been non-stop. I've struggled to Josh and Jules into the pit lane. Where will they emerge now? Burst the undercut. The others staying out though, but how much will being on the soft suffer then? Will they lose out from that undercut?
Well, yeah, I think the rule is you look at the people around you, and when they pit, you should probably think about pitting the next lap if you can. But Tom's in all sorts of trouble there, as we see Rafa goes through another position. But Arna's up into P4 on the medium strategy, so he will be very shortly be in the lead of this race, as the soft runners will be coming in the next few laps. So it's definitely important to keep an eye on the tyre wear and see which one of these three blinks first, and see which one will try and stretch it a little bit further. But I reckon these should be in by the end of lap 9.
Yeah, they're already approaching 50% on the rear tyres then. All three drivers, in fact, Lakito and Samba, have just hit that then as they applied the throttle out of the hairpin. I suspect there's going to be responses, especially for Samba and Glock, who are at a bit more risk, particularly from Larkin and Jules behind it, are going to be within that window. So in comes Lakito, in comes Samba, in comes Glock. They all dive in here. It's further back down the order then. Tom and Khalifa fighting five for position into the chicane, but it is in the end. Somar that gets one, spinning out of it immediately, and into the walls. Laredo, another error, another spin. This time, Tom all around in such a clumsy evening. Ultimately, he's lucky to be in the race, but essentially, it's not worked in his favour at all. BSC deployed then. Lakito emerges then. He does get in front of Jay Luke, who backs off, I believe, out of the pit lane. He maintains that advantage up front then. The VSC changes everything. Larkin has lost out from that then. Samba a good way up the road then, as a Glock actually dropped a bit further back. He's behind Netsky, so actually my apologies. These guys have suffered greatly then. Slipping back to the order. Netsky and Glock way down the order. Of course, Netsky, we know why, but Glock must have been held to the pit lane. He's dropped way back here in the Alfa Romeo. He's going to settle in. The VSC neutralises this thing. How long will it last though? Will it give the medium runners a chance to pit? That would be a massive advantage for them in this race.
I don't think it will, because there you go, as you say that, well, Labour Chris has decided that the VSC was too slow for him, so he's got himself a speeding under the VSC penalty, which isn't the smartest thing to do. But I wouldn't have, even if the VSC was still in operation, I wouldn't have expected Arna to come in. Maybe Rafa, maybe to try something different, but it's a moot point now as it's all over. But yeah, it's definitely a bad time for some of these drivers, but I'm just wondering why Glock got held up so bad and dropped to 14th. I think he must have had a broken wing. Yeah, I can see that on the TAS. He's changed his wing, but I'm not sure the extent of the damage. It doesn't say that. I mean, he had about quarter damage. I think possibly he was driving out there with damage and just thought, I'll change it. So that's probably why he's down in P14 right now.
Yeah, it says on the task that he got 25% damage like at some point during the first stint. So yeah, he's certainly going to have to try and recover that, as Chris does indeed dive to the pit lane. He's had enough in this race, unfortunately, so he is going to bow out of this Canadian Grand Prix in the season opener. That's our first retirement in this Grand Prix, and it rules about the opportunity of course, getting the point for fast lap in the bottom half of the field. So Chris out of the running then early in the race. He's up the road then. Jay Lucas holding some of these guys back then at the head of a train. First up, Samba to charge. Round the outside of the rain, and they get through then. And now Jules, VAR Jules, going to try and follow through then. Up behind Jay Luke. Can he find a way through his Conzo dives in? Jules looking round the outside, surely not round the outside, into the chicane. He runs off the track then, re-emerges in front of the AlphaTauri. Is he going to hold on to that place then? Because that is a little bit ambiguous, I think, that he does maintain the place in front of Jay Luke then. But ultimately he went off the track. It's tough to go round the outside then. He gave it a go way off the track though. Do you reckon that's within his right to keep Matt then? Do you think that was legal? He goes round the outside of Jay Luke off the track. Where do you reckon that went? Do you think Jules, that Jules can keep that position?
I didn't see it clearly enough to have a solid opinion, but it certainly sounds borderline from what I did see. It's definitely one that could well see him have to give the place back in other circumstances. So I'd be interested to see what stewards can do about it, if anything, at the moment. So put a pin on that one, come back to it later. That is contentious, but it's a brave effort nonetheless, but he just didn't quite get it right.
He's going to now, I managed to just continue his race as such, and it's up the road. Khalifa through on Kyle, and it's up the road then. Rafa has caught and passed. Oh no, you can see the pace the Ferrari man possesses. And now moving up the front of the order then. When will these guys come in? Their tires are still in decent shape then, pushing 40% on the rears for both Rafa and Arnaud then. So they're trying to get the most out of those tires.
Thing out there for the time being then. Further back down the order, Cliffy and Josh right next to each other on the track. Cliffy very close to the rear end of the Red Bull. Can't get through just yet though. Josh will for the moment hold the Williams man back. For the time being, is up the road at Lakitu, up in front in the race, and by a decent margin in terms of net positions. He is now bull-necked up by DRTK with a load of battery to use to deploy, but the manoeuvre will not come through just yet, and he is bottlenecked up behind Khalifa. That could allow Saber back into that. He's dragging Jules with him as well then, as now Lakitu looking to the inside, into there, but draws level the AlphaTauri and breaks a little bit later. If he finds the apex, he's surely through, and up in fourth place goes the Ferrari yet again. Lakitu proving to be the class of the Pinnacle tier that he runs now. P4 on the road then, continuing to pump in the lap times up at the front then. Now ERT Josh looking at J Luke around the outside then. The AlphaTauri surely cannot hold this back then, as around he goes now. 3 medium runners to the pit lane are Nud, Khalifa and Kyle. They have still one more pit stop to make after this. Now Cliffy or J Luke looking to the inside lane. J Luke though using the battery, heading down the main straight, will be able to just about stay in front of the AlphaTauri. So he stays in front then, as now our Louisville emerge then, pretty close and probably just in front of the legs of a Fatality out then, right up behind Konzo. So he's going to try and get through on the McLaren as soon as he can now. Arnaud's with it then, with the soft runners. He's going to try and make gains now at this stage of the race, up behind the McLaren. How far can he climb though? This stint is crucial. On soft tires he needs to fly, to get the undercut on Rafa especially. So now he's going to try and fly through, up behind Konzo. He's looking for the progress, but how far can he go before he has to pit and get off those soft tires?
Yeah, it should be a little bit further than the soft runners managed at the start of the race by a couple of laps or so, possibly, with the temperature being, I guess, maybe slightly lower than when we started and less fuel on board. You could be able to stretch it to possibly 10 laps from now on the soft, so that's what he'll be looking to do, and let's see how far up the field he can maintain himself on those tyres. But I don't know where to look. There's so many battles going on right now. It is absolutely incredible.
Yeah, I'm having the same issue as you then. Every time there's one battle going on, there's another one. Incredible stuff out there on the circuit, and we're not even halfway through this Canadian Grand Prix. We've got one battle on track. Then Nesky looking to the inside of J Luke is going to dive it on the brakes, and he's hesitant, and J Luke holds it around the outside of the turn 2. But Nesky underneath, through the exit then, fighting for grip, fighting for traction. Can he get through in the Mercedes then? Yes, he can. Nesky to P10 then, runs it a bit deep, sliding out the rear end, holds on to it on the recovery drive. He's doing all he can to chase down his teammate Toxic up in front. Mercedes with great pace, but so far the result hasn't quite come through for them just yet then, as Jules gets a penalty and a VSC deployed. I haven't actually seen the cause of the incident there. Have you seen anything, Matt? Because I'm seeing, well, the VSC obviously deployed it at this stage then. It may well give Rafa a chance to go in then, but the VSC comes out. Has anyone lost wing or got damage? You sure? Because I'm pretty puzzled by that then. I think it's Tomar. No, Tomar, I think Tomar was a few laps earlier. So yeah, so Tomar with that damage then. Not sure what that was. Actually, no, he is still out there. The TAS is just came up saying that was quite a while ago. So no, Tomar. Now, I'm trying to look from there. This is a bit of a disaster. But there is the Renault down the back of the order then. Unfortunate for him, massively unfortunate, and that's going to set his race back no way. But a few pit stops then for medium stars, and Rafa's gained particularly out of this. He emerged on fresh stops, decently far up the order. He'll get in front of Arnaud though, and he'll be very close to Toxie as he re-emerges in front then, coming out the pit exit, and now attacking Cliffy up against the grass then, and it turns 3 and 4. He yields that one, but Rafa is now right in this race then, in the Ferrari, chasing the Williams up towards turn 6 then. He will not dive it just yet, but he's right in this now as Rafa did. The VSC has thrown him right into contention, or he would have surely been losing out to Arnaud. Now he's several seconds in front. VSC has saved this race now. He runs P8. Can he clear these guys? And all of a sudden, the top 5 looks in order as Nesky over the back of the field. That's compounding in the Mercedes man's nightmares.
Well, you say that, but there's 3 drivers out there that have a drive-through for speed, and under the VSC, Josh, Cliffy, and Toxic. So that is gone. There's a lot of drivers out there with just the 1 penalty, but a few have multiple. So it's going to be definitely down to who can stay the cleanest the longest will probably get a better result tonight. I'm not going to say wins, because that's definitely, here you go, you have Josh and Cliffy serving their drive-through now. Well, I just hope they don't get damaged going into the pit lane, because that would mean they have to go in again. But of course, 2 stops is mandatory, of course, and I just wonder how many people are going to try to just do their strategy now and forget they have to come in again. We've seen it happen before last season in this tier on several occasions, but so far it's just Toxic to do his drive-through now, and then everyone's back to how we started.
As a Cleffy, oh dear, and he gets a 5-second penalty then, just to compound it, as Netsky retires from the race then. From hero to zero, it must be said then. The Mercedes man is out the running then. That is a disaster to open up his campaign then after getting up that pole position. To update on the front of the field then, Lakito still being tracked by Samba. Samba is matching him at the moment, but unable to really make too many further inroads. And their best lap times are only a 10th of a second apart. That shows how tight those guys are on pace. Gap just over 2 seconds. That seems to be where it stands. It's now Rafa up alongside Glock towards the final chicane. Will easily dispatch. The drive-through's helped him as now Toxic dives in for the down the order. Rafa now runs 5th, and Toxic retiring from the Grand Prix from admittedly quite a good position, so he's unable to quite see it through then. And Toxic now out the running. 3 drivers out is not what we want to see, and both Mercedes as well then, because they're representing the top team in this championship. That's not what they wanted. Toxic and Netsky out then. Huge disappointment for the start of their season. Is that Tom Orr forgetting that he's completely out the race now at turn 5?
Yeah, wow, I was looking at something else, and then I thought he looks solid in this. He's about to settle down and come for the comeback, and then all of a sudden I see that the screen is retired. I'm like, oh, what the fatality's just cut turn 1 there. So yeah, that's not ideal, but Arnold's now got a 3-second penalty up where he was leading this race briefly earlier, but he's in P7 now, so that's a great solid effort for him, and he's on the soft, so he will look to be finishing this race on the medium tyres. And of course, how far can he take these softs to give him a maximum opportunity later on in the race? But Lakito right now is looking very, very comfortable, as he did so often last season.
Yeah, he's lapping in the mid to low 111s and just slightly quicker than Sam, but at the moment the gap stretching to 2.5 seconds. Jules for a challenge and behind as well. Only 4 drivers in the race without a penalty. Lakito, Samba, Larkin, 3 of the top 4, and Cleffy all the way down in 15th. But if he can make good progress on those hards, he may still be able to get a decent result out of this one. He is one of the only drivers, it's just him and Fatality that have made their mandatory pit stops. Everyone else still has 1 more to make, so those 2 drivers can get thrown into it. And Cleffy, of course, looking to recover from this position as Toxic out the session altogether then. Just a nightmare of an evening that the drive-through working against him fully. It's now Rafa on the move. He chases down Excel Larkin in front of him and looking for any which way through then. Ferrari now attacking McLaren. This classic rivalry looking to get reignited in One Hub Racing. Is onto the throttle. There you go. Heading on to the back straight then. We're at the halfway point in the race. It has produced a huge amount of action so far. Rafa behind Larkin, but the manoeuvre surely will not come into the final chicane then at turns 13 and 14. But through the exit, Larkin gets a fabulous run then, punching away from Rafa, and still the Ferrari man has to wait, has to bide his time. The soft tyres will not be screaming for grip just yet, though he's still got a lot of grip underneath him. His tyres less worn than Larkin's in front on the mediums. We'll see what these guys put in for the final time in this race. I imagine it'll be a few laps yet before they are diving to that pit lane. But Rafa still in behind Larkin, who's not quite been able to keep in contact with Jules and Samba, who he was with before. But now Rafa with a decent enough run out at turn 7 as the rear end of Larkin completes to the inside. He goes in and he'll move through him in a 4th place. That's been a stellar run from Rafa then. Up to P4, he's going to pull that 3-second gap on Larkin then with the penalty to his name. But Rafa on the move. P4 he is now, looking to get that gap out that he needs. He's driven a stellar race as Rafa, aided by that VSC of course, but he's up to 4th. Lakito leading the race, and these guys predicted, some of these guys in Mercedes and Ferrari, they predicted a constructors fight between those 2 teams. So far sympathetically with Ferrari. Ferrari a fantastic race, Mercedes not so. If they keep going as it is, Ferrari will have a massive advantage in that constructors fight.
Yes, of course, but it's nothing's ever won before the checkered flag, especially in race 1, but it's definitely a good start for Ferrari. But I'm noticing it's getting a little bit darker and a little bit more overcast out there. The air temperature is also dropping slightly as well, so that could help the soft runners extend their stint a little bit, not by much, but it could help them so their mediums can go full out push instead of having to conserve a little bit towards the end, as I was having to do earlier, and several of us as well in different tiers, I'm sure. But this is a superlative performance so far from Lakitu. I'm just checking out. I don't think he's got any warnings or anything. No, he's got no warnings. I think he's the only driver out there without any warnings whatsoever. So this is a championship drive.
Absolutely, this is absolutely stunning from Lakitu 886 then, and the man who won 6 races last season is showing his class here in Montreal. Further back though, Jules, beginning to rein in ERT Samba, who has 2 warnings, so that could be equalled up then, but now the racing point on the back of the Renault to the inside of turn 1 then, draws alongside. Can he get in front though? The Renault underneath him, out of turn 1, outside of turn 2, they bang wheels, and Samba trying to get through. He's still fighting forward through the exit then, and it's Jules in the end who slides. The tires complain, he slides out from underneath him, and now Samba reclaims that 2nd place. These guys going at it though, out there on the track, is only allowing Rafa to draw ever near. Now Samba has the advantage of penalties, but Jules does not. He's got 3 seconds as well as Rafa. He needs to get through. He's running low on fuel as well. So Jules within the podium as it stands and looking to keep it. But right now, Rafa really them both in then. He's looking to try and get through on Samba as Larkin now a penalty. That's just 3 clean drivers left, including the top 2. Samba's at risk of a penalty. Jules away, but Rafa catching both of them. Could a potential Ferrari 1-2 be on the cards here?
Well, potential is always there. Yes, it definitely could be, but Rafa's going to have to get past Samba first, and Jules, and that's never easy. You know, we hear the old adage, I said it earlier, eventually, but it's definitely not as easy as it looks to get past anyone, as we touched at the top of qualifying. It looks easy to overtake, but sometimes when the car's in the right position defensively, it is virtually impossible. So there's going to be a lot of good defense out there, but Kyle adds to the penalties there. But yeah, it's looking very, very ominous for the season ahead for some of these drivers. And is that rain? I think it's raining.
I think that is rain. Wow, we have a plot twist, it must be said, in this Grand Prix, and this could change everything here. You mentioned the overcast conditions. Now they are fully come to fruition. So now the rains begin to fall, and now the question is, as Rafa gets another time penalty, making his task of getting on the podium that little bit tougher, and he's still going to break away from Larkin now, who sits within that range. And Larkin, I know, very strong in the wet conditions, and now we're getting up to those, and the rain coming down. It will be certainly at least a few laps before we're thinking about intermediate conditions. DRS being disabled is usually a telltale sign of that, but now things get really interesting. The rain's coming down. The question is how heavily. Pretty light for the moment. That may well change, but the clouds continue to collect then. The conditions evolving. Can these guys survive then? The gap between compounds is going to get bigger as well, so the soft tyre runners may well benefit. We'll see how things unfold, but the rain's coming down. This throws everything up in the air, and the question is, do these guys have enough tyre life to be able to stretch them to a potential intermediate stint?
That is a very good question. I think the soft runners on the double digits like Arnold, Khalifa and Vienna, they may well struggle, and there's others of course out there, but Konzo and Rafa may be okay if it's like this for another couple of laps and then starts to get heavier. I think you can possibly go straight to the Inters, but it's going to be very interesting for all the drivers out there. But I don't know at this point whether it's going to get any wetter than this. We don't know. We don't have these. Unfortunately, Taz isn't as, Taz can't see the future, so he can't tell us when it's going to start raining, which is, but I'm looking forward to seeing these mediums should make it to any potential crossover point, but I'm worried about the soft runners. As I say, I don't know how much they are going to have to do, and I already saw Arnold was struggling for rear traction a moment or so ago, so that's going to be interesting to find out.
He's been caught by Khalifa now, who looks to the inside lane, heading into the chicane as level and through goes the Red Bull man, up in a P7 and up on the road, and Arnaud unable to quite hold it back. Then Khalifa now, the second top soft runner out there on the track then. His tyres now, Arnaud's even worse then, he's over 56% on the rear tyres, is now to the inside as J-Luke, he gets through on Konzo now, so the soft tyres seemingly falling away from the drivers out there, and that could certainly change things then. We're coming up now, 11 and a half laps to go in the Canadian Grand Prix, and the rain beginning to come down a little bit heavier. Going over the drivers, you can see the droplets beginning to appear on the cameras then. Spray kicked off the tyres as they slow the cars down. You can see Lakito into there, but his lead has extended nearly 5 seconds clear up at the front. It's been a masterclass. But of course, at a track like Canada, it isn't over to the fat lady stakes. And look at this from the back. ERT Cliffy from the rear of the field is risking it, but surely not. Surely those tyres are not going to provide the grip that he needs in. Out of the pit lane, let's watch the gap towards the drivers in front, sitting at 25.6 seconds. He ends it now into the chicane. He's going to try and get acclimatised in. 25.7. I tell you what, as now Jules dives in, the crossover point actually coming now. Jules is taking the rest though. He dives in. The enter's slower but not by much. Popular choice to get into pit lane. Is this now the crossover point? Could drivers be caught out here? Is the right finding the right lap to pit is going to be critical as to how this race unfolds.
It is, and I'm also aware that Jules has just put them on as well, so you have two drivers out there with the inters on, and it's definitely worth keeping an eye on. Jules is in a better position in P6 overall. Is he going to gain out of this? Because if he's timed it absolutely right with the inters, and then the couple of cars in front of him are just going to lose time, he could well find himself knocking on the door of a podium. And this is just a great strategy call if that turns out to be the case.
And I've also seen Arnaud, Khalifa, Kyle, they've all come in for a brand new set of the soft tyres. It's further up the order. Glock attacking Larkin. We'll get through. I think Larkin has made a bit of a mistake then, and he's been hunting down Rafa up until now, but now Glock gets up in and out 4th place on the road then. When will these guys dive in? If so, Lakitu to the pit lane. Leads by 5.5 then. Arnaud and Konzo fading away. It is the leads in front of the McLaren. He's gone soft. He is taking a massive gamble here then, sticking out to the end of the race. Now Khalifa attacking Konzo to the outside into the air, but breaks incredibly late and gets through. But now the intermediates becoming ever more popular. Lakitu, Samba, Glock, Larkin, all in, and Jules now down the main straight. How much does that undercut work to his advantage or disadvantage there? He was right with Samba then. Samba now getting out of the pit lane then. Where do they emerge to turn to? They're almost side by side. Wait is the Renault, and Jules is in front. Jules gets through it at P3 on the road then. The enter's certainly quicker at this stage then. He gets through. More drama as they get out of the pit lane. J. Luke stayed out on mediums. He's holding back on now at Khalifa, but these guys going for softs. Had they made the right call though, the enters will get even quicker, you suspect, unless it dries out. Can the softs hold out? That's a massive gamble they've taken, and I'm not sure if it's going to pay off.
Well, I'm not sure either, and there's a reason why I'm not out there, but I'm questioning that as well. These guys are very experienced, so I guess it just goes to show you don't really know what the right call is until you've made the wrong one, and I suspect these guys may have potentially done that. But there was a race last season where this happened. I think it was, I think we did France, and well, there was definitely a race where inters were quicker than softs, then hards, then mediums, then inters again. It was all kind of madness kicking off, and I wasn't really sure who was ever going to win. But yeah, Rafa's in the pits now. He's probably going for inters, so that's Lakitu back into the lead, and Jules is definitely knocking on the door of the podium, but he does have to put out a little bit of a gap to cover the penalties that he has, and that is just the nature of the beast. But that might not be an issue now, as Rafa is down. He's coming out in P4. Can he get close enough as Cliffy gets another one? So this is all kinds of tension now. Tension.
Rafa just in front of Glock out of the pit later as Unknown that gets in front of J. Luke, who's still staying out then. The soft tires, watch the gap in front then. I don't think there's a massive gap between the compounds. I haven't actually seen DRS being disabled as of yet then. But of course it depends. Is this rain going to maintain? Are the track conditions going to remain just about the same? These are the questions on everyone's lips, and the answers will be provided to us in due course then. 8.5 laps to go here in the Canadian Grand Prix. How is this ending? going to play out then as they head it now onto the back straight. We're watching this fight over P2 between Jules and Saba. You can still see the Renault has the RS to use on the rear wing of the Racing Point, who immediately swings over to the right hand side of the track, trying to cover the inside lane. Saba looking to the inside. He is brave, but he's not brave enough to commit to the move fully. And Jules with a cracking run to the final chicane will hold out. It's now Glock looking at Rafa, breaks much later into the chicane, but the exit suffers. He cannot quite find the grip that Rafa can. Khalifa on the rear wing of Honor. These guys still going at it then. Red Bull chases Williams and slides it out. Chicane then spearing off, doesn't hit the wall, but a major loss in grip then, spinning around. J-Luke dives in then for, I imagine, a set of enters then, as now back he goes. So on no spinning, does that mean that the soaps are starting to go off? The rain maybe a little bit heavier than before, or no critical mistake that drove such a good race up to then. Down in 10th place then, back into that place. But is the question now, are the subs going to make it? The grip seems to be deteriorating. They've still got a lot of pace within them, I think, but for how much longer can that be maintained?
Well, I wouldn't, looking at that, I wouldn't have thought not that long at all, because Arnold doesn't usually make mistakes like that. So I think that's just basically the tyre saying, no mate, you might want to have a think about this one. I did notice on the run-up to the final straight around the hairpin, I thought Khalifa was a little bit out of shape, but he wasn't in comparison to what Honor just did. But I'm baffled actually. It's not really getting any heavier, but at the same time, it's not really any lighter either. It's just getting constant greasy now. I think Inters is possibly the right call. Well, people are in the pits to put the softs on, so that what do I know? Clearly nothing, but I don't know what's going on, and this is just fascinating.
This is bizarre then. We have 3 drivers in for a set of the soft tires. Does this mean that it's going to dry out then? Is the rain going to ease off? Is there that logic behind the soft waters decision then? Josh has gained some track position here. He is going to emerge very close to Glock then, who runs around the outside but not near enough. Then an ART Josh up to P6 now in the race then. He's benefited greatly from this, and it's 3 drivers left up at the front of the field then. So almost everyone now on softs or mediums. Now this is baffling. This is strange. The question is, are the intermediate runners going to hold on up at the front of the field then? So the rain continuing to pour down, but is the grip in the end just going to hold up then? Another twist, another turn, more ebbing and flowing in the race here in Canada, but a stunner so far. What will the leaders do? Lakitu's in as well. So Lakitu dives to the pit lane. Jules comes in as well. Is the rain going to stop completely then? Everyone's switching off the tyres then. What on earth is going on here? Rafa is staying out. He has no choice. He's got to keep going then. Or is the rain going to ease off? What drama here at Canada. And also Khalifa now going down the main straight. He's over a great chance here this one. The Red Bull charging down now. Who made, well in the end, may well be the perfect strategy. He does get out in front of Lakitu, but he's in front of virtually everyone else. Khalifa in front of Samba now, and the Red Bull up to P3. Their strategies have completely flipped on their heads here.
Yeah, I have absolutely no idea what is happening right now. This is actually incredible, and we spoke earlier when Khalifa was just saying he doesn't really expect to score in the top half. He's just going to try and take advantage of any front runner's mistakes. I guess this counts. There's only one Inter. It's still raining, but it's not as if it's getting any worse. And I guess with the track temperature being so hot, it's not really getting any wetter. And I think that's probably the benefit here. Track temperature is still sitting at a consistent 27. It's actually just gone up to 28 degrees as I say that. The air temperature is still 19, but it is about to, if it hasn't already, stop raining. So the slick tyres are the best ones to be on right now, and Rafa should well be boxing to put them on. Yes, there you go, he's in, and this is happening all over again. Bring it on, it's awesome.
We're having, well, in a league that has 3 pit stops, seeing a lot of drivers, a league that has 2 pit stops, sorry, a league, we are seeing a lot of drivers making 3 here in the Canadian Grand Prix. But as those drivers are able to stretch the tyres, people, I imagine, went in for Inters because they couldn't stretch them any further. We mentioned how tough it was going to be to get those tyres to the end, and we are seeing this now as Rafa emerges way down, P8 then, slipping down the order. Lakitu is maintaining the lead, Saba P2, Khalifa Khalifa up in third then, with VAR Jules chasing him down, but penalties still to play a part then. But the only two clean drivers in the race are the top two, and you have to say they have been the class of the field here in Montreal. Looking at some of the position gains, Khalifa up 10 places, the biggest gainer in the race, and at the moment potentially up for a podium. Jules behind, still very much a threat though, will do everything he can to hunt him down and snatch that P3 from him. Up the road then, Arnaud from Vienna out there on the track there. I think Arnaud has chipped his front wing again. Well, he didn't chip it earlier with that spin, but now he does have damage, and now he's got Vienna honing in on him right on the brakes, heading in to the hairpin. But you can see the rain easing off as now up and alongside Vienna goes in, and the hairpin draws level, and DRS will surely power him through with a P10. Through goes the Alfa Romeo, back goes the Williams. So Vienna to 10th, Arnaud back to 11th, and Jules now trying to attack Khalifa. He's still got dreams of a podium ambitions with him. We've got 3.5 laps to go in Montreal. Jules attacking Khalifa, they're going at it for the podium. No doubt about who's winning this race though as it stands. Lakita well out in front now, 5.6 seconds clear. He's not put a foot wrong, he leads well in the race, no penalties to his name. Has he actually picked up a warning by now? Let's clarify, he does actually have 2 warnings. ZRT Josh picks up another penalty, but Lakitu now well out in front. He's cruising to the line. Lakitu is dominating the defending champion. What a start to his season.
Yes, absolutely. And yeah, he must have got those warnings under the tricky, I'd call them interconditions, but I don't know if it ever was, you know. Looking at it, it was just so confusing out there, but Lakitu's just surely the man to watch the season. He's a favourite to win this race, but he's not done it yet. There's still a few more miles yet to do. Well, I'm just interested for this podium battle. Like, Khalifa's up there in P3. He didn't ever think he'd be up there without people making mistakes, and strategy calls play a part of that, but Jules is right behind him. But of course, you have penalties to decide some of these finishing positions, so it's not going to be over at the checkered flag, but you're going to have to wait until the last person crosses the line, and Khalifa gets a little bit out of shape as he comes out of the corner. But can he keep Jules behind him? No, I don't think he can. Jules has just about got the track position, but Khalifa never ever makes it easy. He doesn't just give positions away, but I think he may have to yield on this one.
Jules gets through just about on ART Khalifa, but this is far from over. He seems to have a bit more raw speed. He's got much fresher tyres, but he's not got the DRS to defend. Khalifa may well have just one chance, and Jules is very, very low on battery here. Khalifa, on the other hand, has over 40% to use, but Jules gets a cracking exit off the hairpin. 6/10 clear without DRS, but I think he will have enough in hand to now look to try and break away and secure this third position. He is still 4/10 clear. Khalifa in behind it, just quite cannot draw near enough. He gets a great run heading through the chicane, but ultimately can't get close enough. Both these guys on 5 warnings though, so it could all change. Jules though gets through, hunting for a podium. Can he see it through? Clocker behind has plenty of penalties, 12 seconds to his name. He is losing out to Larkin as it stands, but he may well still get a top 6 finish. Penultimate lap in Canada. Lakitu is cruising. He's now got 4.4 second lead then at the front, but if he gets a warning and gets a penalty, then it's not out the question just yet. Samba's going to give it everything to get up to him then. Use all he has, but Lakitu, you said, has this under control. He can just see out the race now. He has led this race virtually from start to finish. Got past Netsky early on. Seen of all the challenges, and now he is all but there. 1 lap to go here in the Canadian Grand Prix, and Lakitu leads Samba. Samba is driving a fantastic race as well. And he keeps all the P2 then. The battle for the podium looks like it's going away. VR Jules, who holds back the best efforts of VRT Khalifa. Lakitu storms to the fastest lap of the race, a 109.6. And Samba in the end only 7/10 slower, just unable to match. And of course 2 fastest laps will be given out. Lakitu then well out in front, 5 seconds away, and he's still going for it to the end of the race then. He won 6 races during last season. In the end, he did have to fight for that championship, but in the end, he just about saw it through then after that season-long battle that he had, but now he is pretty much there. in Canada then, and he's going to open up his season. Netsky, of course, P2 last season, not the start he would have wanted. The likes of Khalifa, he finished 4th in the standings. He's had a decent enough race to kickstart his campaign. Toxie, who finished 5th, he's not got away too well, but you can see some of the contenders haven't got away too well from last season, but one man who's going off to the absolute perfect start here as Lakita 886 to the final corner here in Montreal. He's led from virtually start to finish, and the opening race of the season goes the way of the Ferrari man. Lakita wins it. Samba for P2 as up to the line. Jules trying to hold back Khalifa up towards P3. Jules just hangs on to it from Glock. P5, he may well though be overhauled by Larkin only just by 0.3 of a second, and Rafa as P7 and Josh P8 then. Vieira and Kyle going for the line, almost level. Vieira crosses from Kyle. Kyle gets the jump on penalties though. Oh no, crosses in 11th position, doesn't get it at all though. Jean-Luc will be P12. He may well just about stay in front of Konzo, who only has 3 seconds of penalties there. He's going to try and get a hold of that 12th place. To the latest, Konzo. He does get 12th in the end. Then Cleffy 14th, J-Luke 13th, Cleffy 14th. Fatality brings up the rear in the race. Thriller here in Canada then. That is the story on it. What an opening round of the season, Matt. And if that is what Canada had to offer, who knows what the season has in store. That was a cracking race to open things up then. Can't wait to see what the season has ahead of us.
Yeah, if it's anything like last season, you're in for a treat, and it's going to be an absolute pleasure to call it alongside you. But I was just checking on the fastest laps. You got one for the race winner, and I think Cliffy, outside the top 10, will get a point for that as well. So that would be a bonus for his day. It didn't really go so well, but I think he'll take a point out of that. But yeah, we have a provisional grid. Of course, any infringements or penalties, especially that overtake that we pondered about, may well be looked at, but at the moment, this is how the standings look.
Yep, that is how things stand after that first race. We already ran through the results. We'll have just a quick run down of it then. So Lakita, Samba, Jules, Khalifa, Larkin, Glock, Rafa, Josh, Kyle, Vienna, Arnaud, Konzo, J-Luke, Kalefi, Fatality, and it was in the end Toxic, Tomar, Netsky, Vapor Crest that didn't see out the race. And so that is the first race in the books then. Lakito on top, a familiar sight, but of course that is just the first race then. The season is far from even getting properly started, but that is indeed Canada very much in the books then. We'll see what the rest of the season has to offer. But coming to you quickly, Matt, then, just to wrap things up for tonight, I'm going to ask you here, who was your driver of the day for today, and what question do you have to ask them?
Well, there's obviously, I say this every week, but there is quite a lot of candidates. I'm just looking at where they started, where they finished. You could have an honourable mention for Khalifa, Larkin, Rafa, Josh, but I think I'm going to go with Kyle. He started 18th and finished 9th, and I didn't see... Oh, I nearly dropped the controller then, so that would have been a great time to do that, but I think I'm going to ask him... Didn't see much of you on stream today, but what is it about this track that made you tap into a drive the calibre that could have won the race on another day?
And very, very good stuff. And then I'm going to come to my pick. You actually mentioned him in your selections. That is going to be Khalifa. And my question for Khalifa, a track that you weren't very confident in, does this result give you more confidence in being able to even go better than last season then? How do you reckon things are unfold then? Does this result give you a good boost heading into the remaining races? But yeah, I think that is going to be just about it. I'm not sure if I'm going to come to you if you want to give one last shout out to our sponsors before we round off the stream.
Yeah, I can do that. Thank you to our sponsors of Liam RBS, Next Level Racing, at Vespertine, Time to Print 3D, which of course you can have a 20% discount on the track that we race around any given week. The ERT Go and Get Stuff Award, and 3M with the singles for the winner of the most fastest laps and pole positions of the season. That is an awesome prize. And of course, Next Level Racing give away the Sim Rig, which is such an awesome prize. And thank you to all our sponsors. Without them, this is just an amazing opportunity for all the drivers. So thank you to our sponsors, and thank you.
Yes, certainly. And we also can go out there because we need to give our thank yous to the drivers as well for their contributions to the league, and many of them have also
managed to make their contributions to the league, donating to the league for a premium membership, Race Premium Drivers. And our first nod is going to be to Netsky, a Race Premium Driver in the league. Thank you very much to him. I'm giving you shout outs to several drivers throughout the season. But yes, I do believe that is going to be just about it for Canada. That is indeed round 1 in the books. But of course, much more to come from this season 18. The next race is going to be in Marina Bay, another street circuit, but arguably even more technical, even more difficult. So that's going to be fascinating to behold. A 10-round season, that's one in the books, 9 to go. But yes, I think that is going to be pretty much it for the opening round of the One Harbour Racing Season 18 season for from the Pinnacle tier, my apologies. But yes, thank you very much to yourself, Matt, for joining me in the commentary box yet again. A pleasure to work alongside you. Can't wait to see what the rest of the season has to offer. But I think that is going to be round 1 in the books then. And just about everything said and done for tonight, it is from myself and Matt. Goodbye, and until next time, we'll see you later.